the most profound experiences of open-heartedness are often when our mind is, in its own way, overwhelmed by beauty or intimacy or closeness or something. And there's this extraordinary, heartful availability, right? And those, to me, those are moments, those are like glimmers beyond this sort of veil that humans tend to live their life in. There's these moments, these glimmers of that there is actually something quite extraordinary right on the other side of all this narrative. So as, I suppose, as uninspiring as, to even suggest that so many of our perceptions and certainly our mental way of experiencing life are fundamentally empty, just empty of sort of any basis in a kind of fundamental reality, that, to call it all empty seems quite negative. But when we experience what a word like emptiness is pointing to, it actually silences the interpretive network of the mind. That's what emptiness really does. Emptiness isn't like, I'm just, has a cosmic experience of just emptiness. That's nice, but that's not what really emptiness is, That's a nice experience. Emptiness is more a way of describing the lack of reality in so many of the things that we think are real, which can seem negative until you actually cast yourself into that kind of viewpoint, into that way of experiencing, and then you see it's not negative at all. It's this extraordinarily heartful, intimate way of experiencing life, experiencing simply being, And so there are these moments of vitality or sometimes intensity where we get this sort of glimpse, this foretaste that of something completely different than what our mind is making up. Oh, and by the way, our mind is also making up about 99% of all the experiences we have. Emotional experiences, feeling experiences, and all the rest. That's your mind too. Yeah, I thought so. That one usually cuts a little closer to home. Do you know? How many of those do you have when your mind's not talking to itself into those, like in deep sleep? Again, that's not to say that somebody shouldn't have any feelings or shouldn't have any emotions or anything such kind. It's just that when we really look at it, we can see, which can be very liberating when you really, really see. You can be sitting there having a perfectly miserable day, and if you really see, I'm actually making it all up. There is absolutely nothing miserable about the day except the way I'm talking to myself about it. That's miserable. And so I'm making myself feel miserable. If you really see it, it undercuts the whole thing, right? When you really realize mostly what I'm experiencing is my mind. That's what I'm experiencing. Which from one point of view is rather disappointing. From another point of view is extraordinarily empowering, because if what you're actually experiencing is your mind, it means you have a lot more options than you ever imagined about how to experience anything. If it's not your mind, you have no options. If everything you experience is objective reality, whatever that might be, it means you're stuck, right? It means that's it. Whatever you're experiencing, that's objective reality. Sorry, if you don't like it, that's it. Right? But it is very subjective, isn't it? Spiritual teachers know this, scientists know this, psychotherapists know this, right? That's why if you go to the psychotherapist is completely powerless to change a single thing that ever happened in your life. They can't go back and alter one single breath you've had. You cannot live life in reverse as much as we seem to be obsessed with doing so. Do you know what I mean? Gives us something to blame, I suppose. As if the past is creating the present. The past is not creating the present. Well, a great metaphor, an image actually, that was used to describe this that I've always loved was by Alan Watts. And he'd said, the past doesn't create the present creates the past. And the image he used was a boat. Just a simple boat going through at the top of a lake. And it creates, this wave of water behind it, right? It leaves its own sort of wake. The wake isn't creating the boat. The past back there behind the boat isn't somehow creating the boat's present experience of being a boat. The present moment is actually creating the experience of the past.